All right, phew. That worked, right? There's no timer. There it is. Okay. Phew, that worked. As I was setting up the first stream, it said that live stream was not available, so I had to redo it, and this is the second time, and it's working now, so that's good. Welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 568, Chicken Stream. I will mention why I called it that later on the episode. I'm Dylan Lang. I'm your host. I've been here almost 11 years. Be 11 years in about 3 or 4 weeks. It is August 11:09 p.m. on August 24th. Tomorrow, August 25th, is my son's 15th birthday. At this time, 15 years ago, my wife and I, my in-laws and my mother were at the hospital waiting for birth to happen. It officially did not happen until 1:45 a.m. on the 25th. So happy birthday to my son early. We got him. The only thing he wanted was a new gaming PC computer, so we got him one. We went to Best Buy, and we were expecting to have to order it and get it delivered in a few days. But the one that we found that we liked that was in our price range was available at the Towson store. So we paid for it at the Owings Mills one, and then about an hour later, we got a text saying, "Hey, your computer's ready for pickup." So we went down to the one in, technically it's Timonium, not Towson. And we got the computer, and my wife, brilliant wife, set it up for him. And we had some issues with the Wi-Fi, so I got the Wi-Fi extender I bought a year or so ago. Finally got that set up. And he said it's working fine now. So he's in bed right now. As I said, 1:45 a.m. he will turn 15 officially. And I just have a visit from my kitty cat. You gonna come help me? Pepper. Anyway, so this is also the final weekend of summer for my kids. They start school on Monday, the 26th, here in Baltimore County. I know some people don't go back till after Labor Day, but honestly, I find it better for the kids to go back now, particularly for those parents who are both working parents and have to pay for daycare, stuff like that. Some daycares are not open. Camps are only go to a certain time. So they had about a week period here this week before Labor Day, before their kids go back to school, where they had no coverage and they had to figure out what they were going to do. So I found that kind of unfair. Plus our terrible governor, Hogan, who's running for office again for Congress, which is a disaster. The only thing he did good was the COVID response. But other than that, he forced a executive order that all schools could not start until after Labor Day, which caused lots of problems for me and my wife, for other working parents as well. So that Ocean City's mayor would be happy that more people spend a week later in Ocean City, because the Ocean City mayor gave money to his company. So eventually that lasted for about 3 or 4 years. And then eventually he turned it back over to the counties, and we immediately dropped that and did it the week before Labor Day. Their whole point was saying that the temperature is going to be worse now than it is on Labor Day. And I remember the first year that they forced us to do that, the temperature this week coming up was cooler than them going back to school in Labor Day. In fact, schools had to close. A couple of schools had to close that weekend after Labor Day because it was so hot, whereas the week before it wasn't that hot. It still is a sore thing with me. Plus, when it started after Labor Day, the kids ended up having to go to school through my birthday, which is June 20th, which isn't fair for them. And on top of that, they didn't get as much time off during the week or during the school year. And students and teachers both need breaks. And so with this week early stuff, we get to leave school a week early than usual, and we have more holidays that can be spread out over the year. So I'm perfectly fine with that. So we're back to normal with that. So that's when my daughter's going to be a senior. My son is going to be a sophomore, both in high school. My daughter's actually taking a college course. She only has like 3 courses in the morning, and then she's done she'll just have half day of school, and then she comes home and does her college course online. So pretty cool. So we got that going on. Also, what else going on? So We'll get to that later on. So yeah, I just wanted to get on with this show here. First up, I had to do something a little personal here. Philip Sablick, who was, for all intents and purposes, a mentor I worked with at Diamond Comics. He was one of the guys who trained me on how to be a brand manager, and became friends with him when I started working there. And then he moved on and became a bigwig at Boom Studio Comics, where he's been now for 10, 12, 15 years, something like that. And he's been very successful. And then I mentioned on my show a couple weeks ago that Boom Studios was bought out by Penguin Books. And Philip has left Boom Studios behind because he no longer is part of it. So he has decided that he and a couple other people from Boom Studios are going to be starting their own comic company. So I wish him well, and I'm going to tag him in this video on Facebook. And hopefully, hey, Philip, if you need somebody to write some books for you, I might have a couple ideas there. So thanks a lot. So congratulations to you, Philip. I hope everything goes the way you want it and goes very well. Homicide, the TV show Homicide is now streaming on Peacock. Don't have Peacock, which sucks, but it makes sense because it was an NBC show. Peacock is owned by NBC, but Homicide was one of those that they had to work out, like music issues and stuff like that, just like Northern Exposure, and they finally did so. And I had twice I was asked to be an extra, and I was in 2 episodes. Well, technically I was in 1 episode, but I did do extra work for 2 episodes. So that was pretty interesting. So I talked about, Noah's birthday, his computer. Preseason for the NFL is over. The Ravens got demolished by Green Bay 30-7. Again, I'm not worried. We went 1-2 in this preseason. I'm not worried about preseason because we haven't played our starters in like 3 years. So all the people who were playing in the preseason, there might be a few starters, but they're the younger guys that need the work. All the more veteran guys like the Lamars and the Derrick Henrys and the Zay Flowers, they did not play a single down during the preseason, which hopefully will not come back to bite him in the ass because football is back, baby, in less than, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 14, 30, in 12 days when the Ravens take on the Chiefs on opening night. So we'll see what happens. So it is now officially, tomorrow they still have a couple preseason games, but it is now officially for the Ravens. NFL season week 1 prep is coming up. They're probably going to be watching all the shittiness that was the playoff game last year against the Chiefs, and they'll be looking at the Super Bowl and a bunch of other games because, to be honest, the Chiefs sucked last year. They won their division, because it's a weak division, but their team was definitely not as good as it has been in years, and the fact was that the Ravens were playing their worst football ever during the playoffs against the playoff game against the Chiefs, and still they got beaten, but they were still in the game all the way to the end. So the Chiefs did not take advantage of the fact that the Ravens were stinking up the joint, and still could have lost that if a few things went our way, but it didn't. And now we are going to have our rematch here week 1. So we'll see what happens with that. Excited about that. The Maryland State Fair started this weekend. It used to run for 10 straight days from like the 24th or 23rd to Labor Day. But because of the schools switching stuff out, they discovered that some school systems went back to school the last week of August when the fair was running. They realized that their attendance dropped because kids were going back to school. So now they've changed it up where they only run it on weekends, so 3 consecutive weekends. So this weekend, Labor Day weekend, and then the weekend after Labor Day are the 3 weekends that they run. So technically it's about the same amount of time as the weekly state fair was, but now it's on the weekends when more people are going to arrive. And plus you spread it out over more time. So you get that as well. The Renaissance Fair also started this weekend as well, up here in Crownsville, Maryland. So a lot of stuff going on as we are starting to enter fall period. I mean, as I said, it is the 24th. We've got 7 days left until the end of August, and then September 1st, which is next Sunday, which is the day before Labor Day, is technically meteorological fall, even though fall does not actually start for 21 more days after that, on the 22nd of September, which is also the weekend that the Baltimore Comic-Con is. A lot of stuff coming up here really shortly. So we've made it through August. It's the longest month. August and January, the longest months of the year, both 31 days and both in the dog days of winter and summer. But we made it, and we get to celebrate my son's birthday tomorrow, which is great. Kids going back to school. We're getting back into that whole orientation thing, so it'll be interesting to see how that all works out. So good on that. A huge 2,942 carat diamond was unearthed in Botswana. It's kind of a neat little, interesting little thing there. The Baltimore Orioles also have had a rough time lately, but they've had 2 come from behind wins the last 2 games. Last night, they were down going to the 8th inning. It was like 5-2, and the bases loaded, no outs. Anthony Santander hit a grand slam to go ahead, and then we had an insurance run that scored after that, and we ended up winning that game 7-5. Then today in the 6th inning, we were down 2-0. With the bases loaded, and Jackson Holliday came in as a pinch hitter and railed a 3-run double to make us win that game 3-2. So we won the last 2 games against the Houston Astros from comeback behind ways. We lost the first game of the series, so we're going to only end up with a split with them if we lose tomorrow. If we win the series, which is good because Houston's been a pain in our ass. So we'll see what happens. But the Orioles have been struggling lately. Hopefully this is the beginning of the turnaround because they got to start putting the gas on for the playoff run coming up here. The Crow, which I talked about, was I surprised that the Curse of the Crow did not affect the production of it that much, and was surprised that it was going to come out as soon as it did. And then the problems started happening, the delays in the schedule and some other stuff happening. And then, of course, as expected, it is way underperforming. It made $2 million opening night. So that's not good. So we're probably looking at, if you spread that over the weekend, a $6 to $10 million opening against a $50 million budget. That's just another bomb that happened. Again, this summer box office, we've been talking about it all week, all summer here on Dylan Knows. Again, the only big hits have been sequels and animated movies, which is driving the movie snobs absolutely insane. But who goes to movie theaters in mass is regular people who aren't artsy-fartsy film people. There's nothing wrong with being artsy-fartsy film people, but to expect that if none of these films that are hugely popular now came out, that your films would do better is a bunch of hooey, because they just wouldn't watch them. They don't care. Most people who go to the movies have very simple tastes. They just want to go and escape for a while. That's why comic movies are popular, why action films are popular, why horror movies are popular, why animated films are popular. And while pretentious dramas don't do as well, or remakes of other stuff don't seem to do that well, or even sort of, new idea-ish sort of things like the Fall Guy and stuff like that. Still surprised that didn't do a better job, but at this point, who really knows what's going on? If this trend continues in 2025 with the stacked stuff they got coming up, then there's going to be an issue with movies. But right now, I wouldn't worry about it. The movie theaters are still making some money off of your Deadpools and Wolverines and your Inside Out 2s and stuff like that. So you're good. And then you've got Beetlejuice, which is coming up on the 6th, which is like now looking like it's going to hit 80 million for an opening. So that'll be another big hit for them. Another sequel, by the way. Which if this trend continues, Gladiator 2 is probably going to do very well as well. And we'll see. And Moana 2 will do very well as well. So we'll see how that trend progresses. But yeah, that's what's going on with that. We'll talk a little bit more about movie stuff in a little bit. Speaking of movie box office, Twisters, the sequel to Twister, technically kind of sequel to Twister, has now bypassed Twister's box office. So Twisters has made more money than its predecessor, which, to be fair, should happen because it came out years later where prices are higher, inflation, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. So it should make more than its predecessor because its predecessor did not have the exorbitant prices of tickets that they were exorbitant for the time in 1996, 97, whenever it was. But 96, maybe 95 at that too. It's been a long time. But now tickets a little bit higher, so you would expect it to make more money than its predecessor. This one you can kind of put on a wait and see sort of thing. I've just recently sort of become obsessed with Ted Lasso. I've never watched the show because it was on Apple Plus, and I don't have Apple Plus. But I heard about it, and for a while there, I thought it was like it was dumb because it was winning all these awards, stuff like that, and I was like, and it just sounded like a weird show. And then I started watching reels of it, and I became obsessed with the show. And I'm dying to buy the 3-pack, the 3-disc season, complete Ted Lasso for $75. But we just spent a ton of money on my son's computer. And my wife is getting in her crawl a little bit about our budget and stuff like that. So I can't justify it, though I really, really want it because I really want to watch it. And I don't want to get Apple TV Plus. But I mention that now because today, it was announced that Ted Lasso Season 4 is seemingly in the works right now. Ted Lasso originally came out in 2020. I think the last season was in 2023. Maybe 2022, probably 2023, I would think. I think because it was 2020, 2021, 2023, I believe. And fans of the show were not happy with season 3. Some fans were, some fans weren't. And they believe it ended pretty good, so they were not expecting a season 4. They announced it seemingly season 4 is in the works right now. However, the only actors that have signed are Hannah Waddingham, Brett Goldston, and Jerry I think that's whatever. That's the main characters, the owner of the company, and the two football players who were at odds with each other. I forget their names right now because I think I just can't think of their names right now because I never, when I get to this moment, I can't think of their names. I'm not, and I said, I've only just gotten into their shows, but we'll see what happens. Jason Sudeikis, who's the creator of the show, has not signed on yet, so we will see what's going to happen with that. So this is a story that's just starting up now. We'll probably hear more about it in plenty of time, and even if things came together, it wouldn't start filming probably till 2025 anyway. So, and probably wouldn't come out till 2026, maybe at the latest, or at the end of 2025, depending on when they start filming it. Though who knows, if they've had this in the work for a while, they might have the scripts and the casting just starting and the sets and stuff like that. So they might start filming by the end of the year because there's still technically 4 months left in the year. So anything can happen. So we'll see what happens. But this is a story to be continued. This week was the Democratic National Convention. I'm not going to get much into the politics aspect of it, but I just have to tell you, I'm a Democrat, and I found this convention to be extraordinarily perfect, joyful, lots of music, dancing, great speeches. And the one thing that stands out most of all to me is that the Democratic Party, and I'm not the only one to notice this, the Democratic Party has, to use a sports euphemism, the deepest bench out there, meaning that they have politician after politician who is so good lined up waiting to get on there, like the AOCs and even our governor and Hakeem, who's potentially going to win the Speaker of the House, and just a bunch of just great young Democratic people who are showing a lot of promise and could potentially keep the Democratic Party a viable party for years to come, because we have all of these excellent speakers and tough talkers and people who know what they're doing and stuff like that. So we should have a lot to look forward to. We just have to be sure we beat this convicted felon, rapist, racist, terrorist, traitor, and his flock of cult beings. And I think we can. But we'll see. It's still going to be a tough 4 months to go. And that's the extent of my political stuff I'll be talking about. In other news, James Spader is set to return as Ultron, the voice of Ultron, which is still one of the best castings in the MCU, for the Vision series, which is set to start filming next year, early January. And because that rumor came out this week, it's not really a rumor. It's actually been officially assigned that James Spader will be back. But the rumor coming out because of the Vision show starting up here and the casting of James Spader, and Paul Bettany's already signed on also, is that Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda, Scarlet Witch, may make an appearance now in the series as well. So we will see if that is in fact the case. But right now I'm really excited about the potential of this show. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up this upcoming Thursday. We have the second season of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, coming up. And then mid-September, we have Marvel's next series, Agatha All Along, which also looks fantastic. So you can't go wrong with what's coming up here. And then Skeleton Crew from Star Wars set to debut in December. So we got some good stuff rolling through here soon, and some other stuff I'll talk about as we progress through the show here. The Washington Commanders, it's football season. As I said, the Ravens are my number one team. The Commanders are my number two team. They are, with the new ownership group and stuff like that, they are still trying to bring back the fans who have left them due to the old school owner who was terrible and the stuff that's going on with them. They are going to be building a statue to the great Sean Taylor. They tried to do a memorial to him a few years ago. It was a complete disaster. So a statue makes 100% more sense. So that's fantastic. They're going to do that. So good on that. Keanu Reeves signed a one-day contract with the Windsor Spitfire Hockey Club, something that he's been wanting to do since he was a kid. And so he signed a one-day contract, so he was officially a member of the hockey team. And during his time there, he signed lots of paraphernalia that they will be auctioning off for charity. So it's a win-win situation. Keanu gets his dream of being signed by it's not an NHL team, but a professional hockey team. And a lot of people are going to, get some good charity from him, from people buying his stuff. So that's pretty good there. Hot Ones is a show where the host of the show talks to a movie star, TV star, musician, whatever, while they're eating progressively hotter hot wings, and it's videotaped, and you watch the actors' reactions to the heat as each wing gets hotter and hotter as they move along. It's been a fairly successful show. It's had Elizabeth Olsen, Sydney Sweeney's on it. They had, I think, Adam Sandler was on it at one time, and just the reactions to the heat. I think there was one actress who ate them all and was not affected in any way, which was astonishing to people who worked with her and stuff like that. So I can't remember who that is, but I think it might have been Elizabeth Olsen who just blew through those like it was no big deal. But the most recent one, which shows some creativity, is they're going to get Donald Duck, the Disney Donald Duck, in an animated live action segment trying the hot wings. It's an interesting idea, and I'm for that type of outside the box thinking, and I hope it's successful. I mentioned Gladiator 2. Ridley Scott is already starting the Gladiator promotion train, saying Gladiator 2 is one of the best films he has ever made. Looks good, has an outstanding cast. I still feel Gladiator is slightly overrated. And my other show, the List Show, that I was planning on doing some this weekend, but because of my son's birthday, stuff like that, things came up. I still might do some tomorrow because we're not really officially celebrating since he got his present already. We've got a few other little presents for him. We're going to take him out to dinner, and that's really about it. So we're going to really not do too much as they're prepping for school. They're going to go out and get some school supplies. And we'll get some groceries so that they have stuff for lunch and stuff like that. So I might do a couple shows of that. But one of them, which I just thought of, I'm working on my top underrated films. but I have so many of them that I have to decide if I'm going to split it into two or do one long list and split it into 2 episodes. I don't know yet. I have to keep thinking of underrated ones. And I start thinking about most overrated films also, and I've already got a bunch in my mind right now. So look for that probably down the line is what I'm going to probably do, but not this weekend. This weekend I'm probably going to continue doing my top movies of a certain year. So I think I'm going to do my 2004 or 1994. I haven't decided, one or two of those. And then I think I might do the very short 2014, because to be fair, 2014 was kind of a crappy year for film, in my opinion. There might have been films that you like, but it was a struggle finding 10 films for 2014, but we'll find out for sure. But yeah, so keep an eye out for that. Disney has been fined for the death of a crew member on the Wonder Man TV show, which is probably going to come out next year. That happened back in November, like February of this year. Excuse me. A $1 million painting has now been destroyed after a bored security guard on his first day drew eyes on the faceless faces on the portrait. So the portrait sold for $1 million, or was insured for $1 million. And it's hanging, I guess, in our museum. This guy's first day security guard, and he's bored, and he puts little dots for eyes on these faceless faces, which ruins the film, the painting, and is no longer the vision of the artist. So that's kind of an interesting thing. I always wonder what happens like that, because you hear stories about that. You hear stories about bratty kids who aren't being supervised by their parents, knocking over installations, breaking things. So I wonder what happens. Do they get sued? Do they have to pay a fine? What about the artist? I know it's a crazy thing to think about. Dr. Dre is training to be part of the Olympic archery team in 2028's Olympics, which is going to be held, Summer Olympics, which are going to be held in Los Angeles this year. So I think it's kind of cool if Dr. Dre can actually make the team. I think Gina Davis was potentially was going to get onto the Olympic team also for, it might have been archery or for something else, but she didn't quite make it. And there was one other actress, I think, who was very close to making the Olympic team also on something else as well, but didn't make it. So I think that's kind of cool. And we also know that, what's his face? Tom Hardy is actually a, what do you call it? It's a Taekwondo, like, world champion. He's been in multiple Taekwondo competitions and has won like all of them. So that's kind of cool when actors and celebrities, musicians, stuff like that do something other than what they're known for. I think it's really cool. Tim Curry is in his first film in close to 14 years. He had a stroke back in 2010, 2011, still recovering from that, but he's in a new movie called Stream. Don't know much about it, but there it is. Chik Fil A is all over this episode. Here's the first story. Then the second story will come later in the show, and we'll explain why I named the episode Chicken Stream. This one does not, though. This is just a interesting story. Chik Fil A is set to open a 4-lane drive-through restaurant where they say that they can probably make a meal in 6 seconds. So that should be interesting to see how that works out for them. Glenn Powell, who I talked to, who is one of my favorite new male actors, is in the Twisters movie, is got his first look as Chad Powers in the new comedy series set to debut on Hulu next year. He started filming it, and he's unrecognizable. He looks like Matthew McConaughey's character from Dazed and Confused, so it's kind of interesting to see that. So we'll see how that goes. So that should be interesting. Matthew Rise joins Claire Danes in the Netflix limited series The Beast in Me. Day of the Fight trailer starring Steve Buscemi and Ron Perlman dropped. Didn't really watch it because I didn't have the link for it, but it looks like it's a black and white boxing film, so interesting. Hershey's ice cream Shop bars are out now. You could only used to get them at the Hershey's Chocolate World up in Hershey, PA. But now they're released. I think they said Walgreens is the only place that has them right now. 3 flavors. They have chocolate and mint, strawberries and cream, and salted caramel. Someone reviewed them, said the strawberry and cream is pretty good. It has the strawberry flavored cream and like little crunchy bits that add to the strawberry flavor. The chocolate mint, they say, is pretty good also, with the mint flavor being on par with peppermint patties. And they say the salted caramel is the weakest one because instead of salted caramel, they get more of a butter pecan flavor. So we'll see what happens. Dakota Johnson and Adria Arjona are set to star in Splitsville. The Lord of the Rings War of Rohirrim animated film trailer debuted this week. Again, didn't watch it because the link wasn't there. I already talked about that. Nothing but a good time. Oh, a documentary about hair metal. That's right. The hair metal documentary, Nothing But a Good Time trailer debuted this week, set for Paramount. Chris Hemsworth's Hulk Hogan film is no longer going to be made. The Ben Affleck one, though, is still in the works right now. This is interesting. So Paul Rudd and Jack Black have signed on to do a remake of the movie Anaconda, the Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, John Voight horror film, where a group of people go to the Amazon and take on a giant anaconda. It was a huge hit. I actually saw it in the movie theaters, actually, but it was a huge hit, and spawned off a bunch of direct-to-DVD trailers with none of the main stars in it, all new stars, and became a new horror franchise. Well, this is a little bit different, though. Scream really did change the way filmmaking was done in a lot of ways, as it took a meta approach to horror films. It was in 97. It was the generation that grew up watching horror films and, the slasher films like Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it was only a matter of time that they did a serial killer who uses, stuff that they learned in horror films from the 80s to kill their friends. And that's what Scream was, a very meta sort of thing. Lots of in-jokes about, directed by Wes Craven. Scream was directed by Wes Craven, but they made lots of in-jokes about Nightmare on Elm Street, also directed by Wes Craven, and other stuff as well, and lots of meta jokes like that. This is going to be a meta joke also, because apparently the premise of the story is that Rudd and Black play best friends whose one thing they do in their spare time is they remake movies on their own with videos, cassettes, stuff like that. So they decide they want to go to the Amazon to remake Anaconda with like a fake snake or whatever, but then they run into the real thing. So could be an interesting, definitely unique thing that they're doing. So we'll give them that credit. And the U.S. hospital told a family that their daughter had checked out, but actually she was dead. That's got to be effed up also, man. I can't even imagine that. Anniversaries this week. The Garbage Pail Kids movie came out 37 years ago. Crazy. That was a huge trend. The Garbage Pail Kids in the movie was awful. Going from awful to pretty damn good. Better Off Dead. One of the best 80s films that doesn't get enough talked about. Debuted 39 years ago this week. And the one death we have on this page is Elena Salcido, Top Cow executive. My friend, again, Philip Sablick, knew her and was the one that reported her death because he worked at Top Cow before he went on to Boom Studios. Again, Philip, I got ideas. Give me a call. We can do something here. Page 2. We talk about Jennifer Lopez has filed for divorce again from Ben Affleck again. No more Benifer. They have now divorced for the second time. So, wow. Talked about the Rainmaker TV show remake of the John Grisham novel. They cast the older actor, I forget who it was, last week. I told you that this week they cast the lead role to Milo Callahan. Never heard of him, but he is now the lead role in the Rainmaker TV series. Millie Bobby Brown wrote a novel called 19 Steps. She is now developing it to be a Netflix movie. She still has a good relationship with Netflix after Stranger Things and Damsel and a bunch of and Enola Holmes movies. So Netflix was the only place that she would probably bring this project to. So we don't know the extent of it. If she's writing the script probably, but is she going to direct it? Is she going to star in it? Who knows? We'll find out. Alicia Silverstone went onto TikTok and for some reason decided to ingest a fruit from her neighbor's yard. She found out that the fruit was poisonous. So people were worried that she was going to die from eating the poisoned fruit. She didn't die, and supposedly she said that she spit it out after she put it in her mouth. But the fact that she came this close to ingesting a poisonous fruit without even thinking about it, just taking it from her neighbor's yard and putting it in her mouth without asking questions like, hey, is this poisonous? Or, hey, can I eat this? Is kind of amazing, actually. Travis Kelce looks like he's getting ready to move on to his second career. He's still signed the Chiefs for a couple more years, so he's still going to play some football. He's still going to be dating Taylor Swift, and probably soon enough, they're probably going to get married and start a family, stuff like that. They're getting close to a year being together now, so good for them. But Travis Kelce is looking forward to the future, and looks like that he is going to try to do what Brian Bosworth could not do, and that is become a big actor. Last week, the trailer for his fall horror show, Grotesquerie, debuted with him in a brief sequence where he's doing this weird sort of weird thing. It's one of these weird, bizarre Ryan Phillips, something sort of whatever his name is, horror films in the style of American Horror Story. And then Adam Sandler announced that he is casting Kelce in Happy Gilmore 2. Don't know if it's as Travis Kelce or if it's going to be a different character. And then the director of John Wick has signed him to an action comedy called Loose Cannons, which is set to film during the off season next year. So February to whatever, he will be filming Loose Cannons. So he's thinking ahead, which is, good for him. Hopefully it'll be successful for you, and we'll see what happens. But you better make a good woman of Taylor Swift very soon, because you guys are really cute together, though you're a dick on the field. That's besides the point, though. Bananas are in risk of extinction, but scientists have a plan to make sure that that does not happen. I had no idea that was actually an issue. Octopi, the males are the ones that actually give birth to the babies. So apparently a scientist who was studying a male octopus was surprised when the male octopus released 10,000 octopi babies that he had been pregnant with. 10,000, not 1,000, not 10, not 100, 10,000. Second Level trailer. I talked about that last week in the same vein as Love and Robots, the animated series on Netflix. Second Level is an animated series on Amazon Prime, which is going to be an anthology series that is animated, set in different video game worlds. And they showed the first trailer for it. At the very end, you got a big surprise. Animated Keanu Reeves is going to be in one of the video game stories. So Keanu Reeves will be in one of these anthology stories here that Amazon is doing. The piano lesson, based on, I believe it's the August Wilson play, which is the directorial debut of Denzel Washington's other kid, I think, is going to star his brother John David Washington, Danielle Dennington, and Samuel L. Jackson. So we have the first trailer for that. Knives Out 3, Wake Up Dead Man has wrapped production, so we should be seeing that sooner than later. It won't be this year, probably. I don't think it's going to take 4 months to edit. I think it's going to take a little longer, but we should see it probably spring of next year, so that would make a little bit more sense. Also, 28 Years Later has finished production as well, as has The Last of Us Season 2 has finished production too. So a bunch of hugely anticipated shows and movies have finished their productions, so it's just a matter of getting things edited and adding it to the already crowded 2025 field. But it'll be worth it. So this week's episode 568, is called Chicken Stream. And not only is it a silly word, but the reason why is because Chik Fil A has decided they're going to try to create a streaming service that'll produce family-friendly content. So that's why I call it Chicken Stream. So we'll see. It's the first time that a fast food restaurant is thinking of getting into the streaming wars, which is interesting. But we know that Chik Fil A is owned by a hugely religious, unfortunately conservative asshole. And their version of family-friendly stuff is anti-LGBTQ. But I'm just giving you the news. They are working to try to set up their own streaming service. It's time, baby. As I said, this week in temperature has been just absolutely phenomenal. I've been cold in my car going into work. The temperature up here in Reisterstown has been between 59 and 55 degrees as a low as I was leaving for work. And the highs got a little warm here or there periodically, but did not go really above 70 or 8 or low 80s. So it's been a pleasant week. Ain't lasting, unfortunately. Started today with a little bit more humidity in the air. We're looking at 66 degrees right now. The lows are supposed to go down to 57. That's pretty good. But tomorrow, 86, which is only 4 off from 90. 61 is a low. Monday, 85, which is first day of school, 64 for a low. Tuesday, 88, 67 degrees for a low. And here's where it gets shitty for 2 days. 95 degrees on Wednesday, up to 71 degrees in the evening, and 87 degrees and 71 degrees on Thursday. Now, Friday is looking pretty decent. That would be August 30th. 79 degrees and 67 degrees as a low. And then Saturday, 83 for part of your Labor Day weekend, and 68 degrees as a low. Sunday, 81 degrees, 65 degrees as a low. And then Labor Day, 77 and 62, because we get into September, the mean average temperature starts going down. So that Wednesday, Thursday is going to be shitty. Hell, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is going to be shitty. 88, 95, and 87. So we've had the windows open. It's been comfortable. It's been nice. But now we're going to have to do that and get back to the air conditioning. So air conditioning is going to get back on there. But the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because September 1st is right around the corner. It is, meteorological autumn, fall, whatever you want to call it. Actual fall is not until 22nd. We know September. But because of things, Starbucks's pumpkin spice lattes are now available. My sister, who is a absolute PSL lover, got her first one last week. So it is coming. Fall is here, and pumpkin spice stuff starting to pop up in the grocery stores now. I think Dunkin' still hasn't done their pumpkin spice stuff yet, but they're probably going to do it within this week, probably. The Acolyte was canceled after one season, and all merchandise has been removed from the Disney shop. This was a travesty of justice due to toxic masculinity fuckbags who could not handle lead women actors, a trans actor in a major role, a foreign Asian actor in a major role, and the show being run by two women. They could not handle their feeble little minds, blew it, so they review bombed it totally and caused Disney to go, oh, nobody really likes this, so we're going to cancel it, despite the fact that a 15,000 signature petition has been sent to Disney to redo it. Those petitions never work, but it's good to see people involved with it. So Star Wars fan base is absolutely shitty when it comes to a lot of this stuff. And it's been just recently really has, I guess it's been kind of bad for a while, but it's just gotten really shitty lately with the more Star Wars stuff we have out there. So this is a travesty of justice, absolutely shitty thing to do. And Skeleton Crew is not getting a good word of mouth either, because it is more of a kids film, a kids show, with young kids being in the lead, and the people are the toxic masculinity people, and the people are like, oh, we don't want to see this. We want to see the umpteenth version of the Skywalker saga. I don't want to see any more saga. I want to see the past, which is what the Acolyte was. I want to see the future. I want to see stuff that has no Skywalkers in it. I've seen it all. I already know what's going on with that. It's a big world. Let's see some other shit. Which is why I like those books, where they do their short stories, where they take side characters or extras from all three of the main movies and write complete stories about their characters. That's actually really interesting stuff. So, terrible. But let's continue on the Star Wars aspect. Star Wars Outlaws, the first open world Star Wars game, is set to debut on Friday, August 30th. So very good for that. And Music by John Williams is a documentary set to debut on Disney Plus November 1st. So that's also fantastic. I still have to watch the Jim Henson one. But Disney's been doing some pretty good documentaries lately. So time to see that. They did that Beatles one last year also. It's pretty good. Coleman Domingo is set to star in a new show called The Murderers, our movie called The Murderers. And we get our first look of behind-the-scene photos from that's coming in November, I think from Netflix. Angela Taylor-Joy is set to take the lead in the Netflix series How to Kill Your Family, which is basically what you expect it to be, based on a book about a woman who's trying to figure out a way to kill her family to get her insurance. So we'll see what happens with that. She'll play the lead person trying to kill the family. What We Do in the Shadows is set to debut on October 21st with 3 episodes. It's their final season, so good on that. The Assassin cast Keely Hawn and Freddie Hawes, Keely Hawes and Freddie Highmore in the Prime action thriller. Some prequel work, TV shows. Pacific Rim prequel series is set to start filming here soon, and a Poltergeist prequel TV show. I mean, I don't think it's a prequel, but a Poltergeist TV show is set to debut soon from Walking Dead and Supernatural writers, not the creators, but the writers who wrote for those are going to be doing the show running for that. Excuse me. Stunning Bronze Age burial chamber was discovered on the English Moor. So that's pretty cool. See that? Netflix casts Katie Sagal, Mark Herlick, and Sendhil Ramathi in the second season of the live-action One Piece. So it's always good to see Katie Sagal and stuff. And Sendhil Ramathi was from Heroes, so that's pretty good. I don't know Mark Herlick from anything, but those are the 3 people they have cast as they're still working on season 2 right now. And Williamsburg, Virginia has multiple reports of a curious, mysterious black ring of smoke that appeared in the sky over Williamsburg this week. Many, many photos from many, many different people. So it wasn't faked. It wasn't hoaxed. Don't know what it is. Boom. Some deaths this week. British tech tycoon Mike Lynch drowned after his super yacht was caught by a water spout off the coast of Italy. Now, what makes this interesting is there's also another big wig from a big company that also died in that. And the business partner of that guy, the same week, got killed in a freak car accident while he was jogging, and somebody hit him with the car and killed him by accident, I'm assuming. So obviously you can't say that an act of nature was sent to kill this tycoon and this his business partner connected to something. So, but it's still kind of weird, coincidental that these two who were connected died in sort of weird, mysterious ways. I mean, obviously it's not too mysterious, but a lot of people did survive the waterspout drowning of the super yacht, but not this guy. So we'll see what happens. Atsuko Tanaka, Ghost in the Shell, Naruto, and Jujutsu Kaisen voice actress died this week. Anniversaries. Ready or Not with Samara Weaving debuted 5 years ago this week. Blade debuted 26 years ago this week with Wesley Snipes. Inglourious Basterds debuted 15 years ago this week. And American Werewolf in London debuted 43 years ago this week. And the big anniversary that actually happened today, the 24th, because it is still 1 minute before the 25th. On this day, August 24th in 2006, Pluto was deemed not a planet, but a mini planet, whatever they call that microplanet, what they call it now. And Pluto is now no longer part of the main 9 members of our solar system. Pluto, never forget, 1930, 2006. That's what happened this week. It is noon. Noon is midnight. It's officially my son's 15th birthday. Well, as I said, 1:45 is when he was born, but it's officially August 25th. Also, happy birthday to my Uncle Frank, and happy birthday to Tim Burton as well. Who else is born August 25th? Tim Burton's going to show up in my in this episode a little later right now, but I just need to find out who else was born here on August 25th. Also, happy birthday to the National Park Service. They were started on this date, and I think also a state was also. Let's see. Events. Galileo demonstrates his first telescope. Okay. Let's see. The United States National Park Service was created in 1916. So happy birthday to them. Paris was liberated by the Allies on this day in 1944. House Un-American Activities held their first ever televised congressional hearing. Zimbabwe joined the United Nations. Voyager 2 spacecraft made its closest approach to Saturn. Voyager 2 makes its closest approach to Neptune. Okay. So both around the same time. Interesting. American singer Ayala and several members of the record company were killed as their overloaded aircraft crashed after. I forgot about that. Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Florida on this day also. That's terrible. Voyager 1 spacecraft entered interstellar space, becoming the first man-made spacecraft to do so. And births here. Let's just get the more recent ones. Walt Kelly, creator of Pogo, was born this week. Mel Ferrer, the father of Miguel Ferrer, one of my favorite actors. Leonard Bernstein was born on this day. George Wallace, Monty Hall was born on this day. What else really interesting here? And then these all for my son. Sean Connery is born on this day, so he shares birthday. Regis Philbin was born on this day. Virginia Woolf, Frederick Forsyth, John Badham, who directed War Games, I think, and Short Circuit. Michael Kaluta, comic book artist, who I thought he died recently, but I guess he didn't. Gene Simmons, the lead singer of Kiss, was born on this day. It's my Uncle Frank. Tim Burton, I know that also. Yeah, there's Tim Burton, born 1958. Wow. He's old. He old. Lane, no, that's not the same guy. Billy Ray Cyrus. We got a few more to go. Albert Bell, American baseball player, was on the Orioles for a cup of coffee. Rachel Ray. Jody Messina, which was the first concert my wife and I went to together. We're in the 1980s now. Blake Lively. That's her birthday today. Very cool. Justin Upton, who married Kate Upton. Lucky man. So that's it. So yeah, a lot of interesting people here. I didn't know Blake Lively was born on this day. So pretty cool. So my son is in good good hands with that. Plus the National Park Service thing is always cool too. So yeah, that's what happened on the 24th. Pluto was downgraded, which sucks. Xbox to release a new Indiana Jones video game on December 9th, and PS5 will not release theirs until 2025. Xbox bias, by the way. Tomb Raider animated trailer for Netflix debuted this week also. Looks okay, nothing spectacular. Looks like it's done by the same people who did Castlevania. It's set debut October 10th. Stuffed puffed caramel apple filled marshmallows. That sounds intriguing. Borderlands 4, the video game, is set to debut in 2025. Meanwhile, the movie flopped hard and flopped badly and is already set to hit streaming on Friday, the 30th. So interesting. The Azrael trailer, Samara Weaving stars in this horror film where after the rapture, the people that remained on Earth have to go through the 100 years of hell, are ordered not to speak, and they also start sacrificing women to a demon called Azrael. But Samara Weaving, being Samara Weaving, she escapes, and Azrael and all the people are going after her because they need to have this sacrifice. That's basically what I got from the trailer. So we'll see if that actually turns out to be that way. Brock Candies are the ones that do some good candy corn and the autumn mix and stuff like that. Well, they now have a new fall candy called the autumn leaves candy. So they're shaped like autumn leaves. So I gotta assume they're going to be like similar to candy corn, but in autumn leaves. Local news: Fogo de Chão is set to open in Towson September 2nd. The Monday after on Labor Day, actually. So that's pretty cool. A couple of news from Pokemon Go. Ponyta has been selected as September's Community Day. So you're going to get both Galarian Ponyta and regular Ponyta. Also, Pokemon Go's new season starts September 1st, and it's been leaked. It's called Max Out. It will be introducing Gigamax or Gigantamax to the game, and will focus on Galarian Pokemon. So we'll see what happens with that. The Room Next Door trailer: Julianne Moore and Tilda Swinton play a lesbian married couple. Frankie Frico is a homage to Gremlins and Ghoulies. Is set for an October release date. It's a weird looking film. Patrick J. Adams, Eric Chapman, and Ben Guardo joined the Yellowstone spinoff with Michelle Pfeiffer. Holt McCallum and Maria Bello are set to star in The Waterfront, Kevin Williamson's new thriller show for Netflix. Not a horror thing. It's a like a mobster sort of show set on the North Carolina waterfront. Danielle Fishel, who played Topanga in The Boy Meets World, announced this week that she has breast cancer, so our prayers will go out to her. Hell of the Summer, Finn Wolfhard's horror comedy, gets distribution by Neon, who's made big money off of Long Legs. and is set for a 2025 debut, so that's one to look forward to. The Y2K trailer from A24 comes out December 6th. It is an alternate reality where the Y2K bug actually occurs, and a bunch of kids, high school kids at a party, have to take on AI-run computer stuff who are hunting them down and killing them. It's produced by Jonah Hill, so it's got a comedy horror aspect to it, but it's called Y2K, and it's set from A24, of all places. It's a debut December 6th. Don't know what that says. Excuse me. Oh, that's right. Monster, the Lyle, and Eric Menendez trailer set to debut September 19th on FX. They hit pretty good with an American Crime Story, their Monster with one of their other serial killers. This one we have two guys that killed their parents, so I'm going to see that soon. Hit Pig trailer is from Bloom County creator Burke Breathed. Jason Sudeikis, Rainn Wilson, RuPaul, and Flava Flav are voices in this animated film about a hitman who's a pig, or not hitman really, is a bounty hunter pig who is hired by a rich man to get his elephant back. But when he finds the elephant does not want to go back to the guy because the guy mistreats him, but the guy captures her, and then he has to free her. So Jason Sudeikis might not sign on for Ted Lasso season 4, but he's definitely doing this. So I have no idea what that says. The Australian Office is set to debut October 18th on Prime. So the Australian remake of The Office is set to debut here on Prime on October 18th. Tim Burton, whose birthday is now officially the 25th of August, whose birthday is today, is officially going to get a star on the Walk of Fame. So good for him. He deserves it. He's a good director. And as I said, Beetlejuice is going to be a huge hit for him. It's already banked right now, predicted to hit 80 million. I think it's going to do higher than that, actually, because it is it's the weekend after Labor Day, but still pretty big deal. Doritos has a brand new flavor, which has a new flavor they're not explaining, but it's going to be safe to eat in outer space. So go figure what that's all about. No idea what this says. Claudia Dowd has joined Soulmate, the Megan spinoff. Friday the 13th prequel series is set to go into production, also from A24, who's doing some weird ass stuff. Goodrich trailer is actually pretty good. Michael Keaton, Mila Kunis, Andy McDowell, and Kevin Pollak set debut October 18th in movie theaters. But it's really interesting. Michael Keaton plays a hardworking guy, dad, who's on his second marriage. His first marriage, I don't know if it was divorce or the mother died or whatever, I'm not exactly sure, resulted in the birth of his daughter, who's played by Mila Kunis. And he was a hardworking father, so he wasn't around a lot to be with his kids. I'm going to call him that. Need some help. So then he either gets divorced or remarried. I think he got divorced, and then remarries Andy McDowell's character, and they have two young kids together. So technically, Mila Kunis has two half sisters, and then Andy McDowell's character is a drug addict, not like meth or anything like that, but like painkillers, stuff like that. Think like Matthew Perry sort of thing. And she's in rehab now. So Michael Keaton, who's been working hard his whole life and not really getting to know his kids, now has to figure out a way to connect with not only his new young kids, but also his older daughter. It looks really good, actually. Got good family drama stuff, and him and Mila Kunis together should be really, really good. And him reteaming with Andy McDowell after Multiplicity, which actually is kind of interesting. He's doing press now for Beetlejuice, and they've been asking him about, what movies would you like to return to? I mean, he replayed Batman in the stupid, awful, god-awful Flash movie, and would have been the much better Batgirl movie, but we never got that. Thanks, Warner Brothers. And also, he's returning as Beetlejuice. So they asked him, what other movies of your career would you like to revisit? And he said, I kind of like to revisit Multiplicity, I guess, since he just worked with Andy McDowell again and enjoyed it. So we'll see. Kong, Survivor Instinct, the new video game had released its first video game trailer. There's going to be a Godzilla video game here coming out soon too, but the Kong one is the first one that's in the works right now. Jujutsu Kaisen is scheduled to end in manga form in September of 2024. So that's good. Reese's Chocolate Lava Big Cups is the newest big cup. And Angel Reese of the WNBA and local Maryland girl is now going to become the face of Reese's Peanut Butter Cups during Halloween. Angel Reese, Reese's Pieces, and Reese's Peanut Butter Cups make sense. Why are you making all that noise? Why are you doing that? Batman Resurrection is a novel set between Batman and Batman Returns. So it's a story that's going to be in the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman world. It's coming out in October. Let us see. Because I wouldn't mind reading that, actually. I've always wanted to read the Batman 89 comic because it's written by Sam Hamm, and Warren Scarron, who are the guys that wrote the screenplay for Batman. So they're sort of doing their own little thing, which is kind of cool with that. But this novel might be pretty good. Batman novel. Batman Resurrection, set debut October 15th. Ready for pre-order on Amazon if you want to. Might pre-order it. Well, put it on my list. I'm not actually going to physically pre-order it. But it will be put on my list because I do intend to get this maybe for Christmas, maybe. Might be a good for later. Boom. There we go. By John Jackson Miller. So that could be pretty cool. I had no idea what that says. It's like the Athena is coming at record speed or something like that. So, no idea. So it doesn't matter. Anniversaries, only a couple here. Enter the Dragon, the Bruce Lee movie, debuted 51 years ago this week. And Mr. Mom, hey, Mr. Keaton, debuted 41 years ago this week. God, 41 years ago this week, Mr. Mom. John Hughes wrote that also. All right, we're on our final page here. The new Chaos trailer, the new Chaos TV show with Jeff Goldblum as Zeus, a asshole Zeus who wants to punish the people for not praising him anymore. He's playing a major douchebag in this because, let's face facts, Zeus kind of is. It's set to debut on the 29th, which is Thursday on Netflix. So they just wanted to do a new trailer for that. Looks intriguing, but I don't think enough for me to go see it. Crossed, Garth Ennis's horror comic, is set to be made into a movie. Yippee. Cross was always done by this comic company when I worked for the comic company that they do like multiple covers. And particularly if it's horror ones, it'd be like, the regular cover, then the horror cover, and then the sexy cover, and the sexy horror cover, and the bloody. It was just a disaster. And then the comics were like, it seemed like they were only like 10 pages long and there was like no substance, but the artwork was all, big-breasted, scantily dressed women getting attacked, stuff like that. So fun stuff. I think Avatar was the name of the comic company that did it. And Garth Ennis has always kind of rubs me the wrong way. He's a decent writer, I guess, but some of his stuff just doesn't make sense. So, but with the popularity of The Boys, which he also wrote, well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, movie's going to be coming out with that. Eternal Champions, the Sega fighting game, is getting a film. I never played it, so I have no idea what you're talking about. A new rumor, I talked about this recently, but it really got into rumor feeds this week that Sydney Sweeney has been offered the role of Black Cat in Spider-Man 4. I think that's a wonderful idea for another reasons why, because one, Spider-Man 4 is supposed to be the new status quo for Peter and make him more street level Spider-Man. So I don't want to see any, Avengers or, any return of Toby or Andrew, which are the big sticking points. Fox saw the money that made. So we need to do that again. It's like, no, you don't. And also MJ being away. Yes, it's Zendaya and you want to keep her around, but it would be probably easier to do something without her with the new status quo. And Sydney Sweeney is the perfect specimen, I should say, for Black Cat. Black Cat is very sexual, very busty, and Michael Turner draws her like Sydney Sweeney even before Sydney Sweeney was even born. So it's fate, it's karma, whatever you want. And after her disaster in Spider-Woman, or Madam Web, excuse me, you got to look at this, though, is that she played a version of Spider-Woman, the black and white costume one, and Sydney did her homework. She read the comics, she got to know the characters, and she was all in on it. So even though it was a flop, she did everything in her power to make it work, and she did the research. So I think to give her a chance to actually do it in the MCU proper, in a character that is absolutely perfectly suited for her, because she is very willing to be the sexual icons and sexual characters that we're looking for Black Cat's character. Just seeing they decided to make Black Cat and Mary Jane best friends like they made them in the comics. To have Zendaya and her working together would be outstanding. Hi, Pepper. Look, it's the world. There you are. It's my kitty boy. Mwah. Sorry, I had to kiss my kitty. He's so cute. The cast has been announced for Joe Nesbo's something whole. It's a thriller, Icelandic thriller sort of thing, where the Norwegian thrillers are always gory and violent and stuff like that. So the cast, there's like nobody really famous in it. It's all like Norwegian actors, which is really cool. First look at Bad Sisters season 2. Never heard of it, but they showed pictures, but some of you might have heard of it. Whatever. More PI for hire. Something trailer, PI for hire trailer. Don't know much about that. I'm going to check it off. My Lady Jane was canceled after one season. Okay. Florida man finds baby iguana in his toilet. Only in Florida. Entenmann's cookie donut ice cream sandwiches is a new thing out there. Interesting. Portuguese man accidentally finds a 2-foot-long dinosaur in his backyard. While digging up his backyard, he discovered this dinosaur. Brian Cox has joined the cast of Martin Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola, declaring that cinema is dead due to Marvel and DC. I'm not going to get into that. I wrote a big piece about that when this was announced earlier this week. I'm tired of talking about it. You don't know what you're talking about, Brian Cox, and you were in X-Men 2, so you really have nothing to talk about there. So you can just go back to your little hole or whatever. The dinosaur-killing asteroid apparently came from the asteroid belt, scientists have said. A dune has broken in Delaware after the major showers we had at the beginning of this week. So it was right near the highway. So the highway was a little bit dangerous of getting overflown with water from the ocean. So we'll keep you updated with that. Before we get to the final story of the week, let's do a lot of anniversaries here. Mimic, 27 years ago this week. John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars, 24 years ago this week. The original version of The Witches came out 34 years ago this week. It's a brilliant copy. Actually, both versions of it, this one and the Anne Hathaway, Robert Zemeckis version is really good too. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire debuted 25 years ago this week. Mortal Kombat, the original film, debuted 29 years ago this week. Snakes on a Plane, you remember that. 18 years ago was a huge social media thing that went nowhere. The great Steve Martin, Rick Moranis, and Joan Cusack teamed up in My Blue Heaven 34 years ago this week. Deaths. I'm sorry, one more anniversary. The 40-year-old version debuted 19 years ago this week. I remember seeing that in the movie theater with my wife and our friends. That was kind of interesting. Jack Russell, the lead singer of Great White, passed away this week. He was age 63. And Phil Donahue, who unfortunately, I hate to say it, I thought Phil Donahue was dead already. Talk show host from the 1980s. He passed away this week as well. Our final story this week last week, my boss was in Yellowstone National Park. He left on Saturday to come back home, last Saturday to come back home. Last Sunday, 1 week ago, after he left, a Bigfoot footprint was photographed in Yellowstone National Park. So he just missed a possible encounter with Bigfoot by a day. So it's kind of neat. And this is actually a pretty clear footprint, a pretty good size footprint, pretty, as I said, very clear, very distinct footprint. So very cool. So that is the end of that. Next week's episode 569, is Labor Day weekend. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what's going on this week, back to school, stuff like that, back to school, and so on and so forth like that. So anything else majorly coming up this week? Now, just going to be another hot one, another just the finale of August and the finale of summer for the most part is set to debut this upcoming week. As I said, I'm going to try to do maybe a list show or two tomorrow, and I'll probably do a couple more during Labor Day weekend, but we do have a busy schedule. We're going to go see my mom next Saturday. We have a party with my in-laws on Sunday, and we'll see what happens on Labor Day Monday. And then football starts, and the Ricetown Festival, and Dog Fest, and Jewish holidays, and the first day of fall, and more and more stuff. The good robot, or it's not the good robot, it's the wild robot, excuse me. More and more stuff. So we'll see what happens. But for now, enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you have a second, wish happy birthday to my son, 15 years old now. About an hour and 20 minutes from now, he will be officially 15 years old. And happy birthday to my Uncle Frank, Tim Burton, and everyone else I mentioned earlier. Thanks for watching the show, and we'll see you later.